The waters of the league are starting to get a little murky as the season continues to draw near. We just saw Damian Lillard get traded to the Bucks, which I predicted a few days before, but my video dropped a few hours before the actual trade went off, which still mildly surprised me because I thought that the waters were starting to lean towards the Raptors because of the young talent and things that might be a little bit more viewed as appreciating assets by the Trailblazers. That being said, it does seem like the Utah Jazz are going to be a team to look out for in the trade areas, more so for the likes of the Kelly Olynyk's and fortunately Colin Sexton's. Thanks for tuning into this video. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Make sure to like the video so that the algorithm knows to push it out so that we can get more viewers on the channel. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and join the Patreon. The link will be in the description below. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this one. At the start of this team camp period, saw Colin Sexton as being the sixth man for them. They also really fell in love with Keontae George, their most recent draft pick, and they expecting to give him more minutes than some people originally anticipated. That being said, you already have Chris Dunn, you have Talen Horton-Tucker, you have Jordan Clarkson. It's a thing of, well, where are you going to put him? Now, the issue then becomes whose minutes get cut. And unfortunately, it's looking like Colin Sexton is either going to be the guy who just has his minutes cut, or they're going to try and shop him around to see if they can get something of value back. For Kelly Olynyk, it's a little bit weirder because he kind of fulfills a little bit of a need that they might have as far as his ability to be a playmaker as a big and also having a shooting touch that Walker Kessler doesn't really have at all, and John Collins obviously doesn't have the playmaking that he has. That being said, he is on an expiring contract, so it might be a little bit wise to move him sooner rather than later, which is particularly why I did see a trade for Jonas Valanciunas that also included a 2030 draft pick. However, it just didn't really seem the most enticing thing because in that aspect, Jonas is just another big body to add to a lineup that is already about to have Taylor Hendricks playing. So you're going to have a room with Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, Walker Kessler, Taylor Hendricks, and him, and Omer Yurtseven is going to be somewhere in the rotation as well. So is it a thing of them just being prepared to just have bodies at that point? And maybe, yes, you say that being able to get a draft pick in that trade would be good because obviously Kelly Olynyk might not be the better player piece for piece. He does provide shooting touch and he does provide playmaking that most bigs just quite simply don't have. That being said, I believe that trading for Valanciunas would allow for Walker Kessler's development to improve a little bit because Walker did get to experience on Team USA's roster this year a loss to Lithuania, who Valanciunas played for, and did them quite egregious in the minutes that he did play. That being said, having a traditional five that's known for being more of a bruiser and more of a get to the basket, back to basket, post work, hook shot, strong rebounder, and push the pace kind of big would be beneficial for this team that doesn't have a tremendous veteran presence. That being said, I'm hesitant to go ahead and say, yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of Kelly Olynyk for that. Maybe that's just me. I do value Kelly Olynyk, even though I was not a particular fan of his game earlier on in his career. You cannot deny the fact that he is a good passer and he is a solid shooter, particularly for a big guy that you could potentially play at a five. That being said, going forward, since you do have Taylor Hendricks on your roster now and you're looking to give him some minutes, you know Lauri's going to play a while, you know John's going to play a while, you expect Walker to be able to play sustainably longer. It's just not really feasible to assume that just going big for big is a good idea. That being said, going back to the Colin Sexton situation, his is more of a saddened part because it's a minutes thing. The minutes just quite frankly aren't going to be there for him. So if he doesn't end up managing to win the point guard battle and put somebody else on the chopping block, which would require him to become a god tier passer, honestly, because Chris Dunn is the most traditional archetype point guard that they have on their roster, and Talen Horton-Tucker isn't that far behind considering he did start at that position later on in the season. I just don't know where his place is here anymore. That being said, Colin Sexton does have a lot of value for them because he is just 24 years old, and yes, he's coming off of an injury season, but he has played well in the games that he's played. He's efficient from the floor, he's efficient from the three-point line, and honestly, him being a former 8th pick overall is a lot of upside for any team that's looking for just some backcourt talent that can fill out the stat sheet in an efficient manner and not in a shot chucking on the worst team in the league kind of situation. That being said, it does bring me a little bit of dismay understanding that he's probably losing his spot on this team because this team is incredibly deep. Now, maybe they do keep him and he just doesn't play very minutes and he just sucks it up and says, we'll ride it out. But I think if the right trade was offered for him, they would end up moving him, whether it be for some more draft capital or if it's for another piece that they could keep on that roster for depth purposes, but wouldn't be expecting nearly as many minutes. The other thing to pay attention to is the fact that you're going to have most likely Ochai starting at the shooting guard spot, and then you're going to have Lowry at the small forward spot. So Jordan Clarkson might be their starting point guard unless you want to take Ochai off the bench, but if you're looking to go big like they have the potential of doing, then he has to start. So then that leaves you to start Jordan Clarkson at the point guard spot despite not being a traditional point guard. So then you have Talen Horton-Tucker and Chris Dunn coming off the bench and Keontae George, and all of those guys are going to be needing to split minutes. And as much as it pains me to say it, they do provide a certain level of upside that right now Colin Sexton just doesn't have in his bag. Chris Dunn's definitely a better passer and a better defender. Talen Horton-Tucker proved himself to be a solid playmaker, though he does have kind of a weird game about him. He's still obviously a very much upside having individual player. Most likely, if there is a trade, I believe it will happen before the season starts as opposed to close to the trade deadline. But the way this offseasons go, you just never really know. It would be interesting to see if the Heat get interested in him, considering they did miss out on Dame, but I also saw them being interested in Jrue Holiday now that he got traded to Portland, and Portland is looking to unload him immediately. But with all that being said, thanks for tuning in this video, guys. Make sure to like the video so that the algorithm knows to push this out to further viewers. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe, turn on those post notifications, join the Patreon, whose link will be in the description. Leave us a comment and let us know what you think. I love to have intelligent discussions with you guys down below. And without any further ado, good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in to this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.